I remember the first time I played Mario Odyssey, I was really frustrated. I was expecting a different kind of Mario game. I was hoping for a more linear level-based game like something akin to the Galaxy series. But what I got was very different. I don't think I had an open mind the first time I played this game, but with Super Mario 3D All-Stars on the horizon, let's dive back in and take a look at Odyssey now that I've grown a bit and see how the game has changed from my perspective at least. I think I have more of an appreciation for game design since the last time I played Odyssey, and with that in mind, let's hop right into it. Gone are the classic power-ups the Mario series has been known for. The Fire Flower, the 1-Up, the Star, none of it's to be found here in Odyssey. Instead, these items have been replaced with a new mechanic, the Capture mechanic. Basically, Mario can throw his hat and capture most enemies he comes across in the game, including some inanimate objects as well. This basically gives you control over whatever you've just captured. For example, you can capture a fish and use it to swim underwater without having to worry about air. Or you can capture a creature called Glydon and use him to fly down to a remote island to collect a moon. Or you can capture a Goomba and then use that Goomba to create a stack of Goombas, and then take that Goomba stack over to a Lady Goomba and use it to woo her to give you a moon. And then you can commit Goomba genocide. The possibilities are truly endless. Did I mention moons? Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. Moons are the main collectible item in Mario Odyssey. They're kind of trying to mimic what the Power Stars were in Galaxy, Shine Sprites were in Sunshine, or Stars from Mario 64. But they kind of come off as this cheap collectible item. They're just littered everywhere. And by the end of the game, if you're trying to go for 100% completion, you start to realize that these things are really not that much more valuable than coins are. Because of that, towards the end of the game, you start to have a lack of motivation to explore just by how oversaturated everything is with moons. But despite that, Odyssey is packed to the brim with content. Everything is colorful and fun, and you can explore pretty much most of the areas at your own leisure. It's really important to keep an eye out for little details because pretty much every little rock and stone, nook and cranny will lead to you finding a collectible to help you along in your journey. But let's talk about the actual gameplay itself. We already talked about the capture mechanic. Well, there's also a lot more you can do with the hat. You can throw it, jump off of it, throw it again, and dive. There's also a lot of other movesets you can do with the hat, but this is the main one you'll be using to clear long distances. And while it's not required to play or complete the game, it is a very useful trick to get to locations that are typically out of the player's reach, or require a small platforming challenge to get to. However, while this mechanic is cool, it can be used to bypass a lot of the platforming challenges the game has to offer.
Yo, do you guys want to see a pro gamer move? Watch this, watch this, watch this. That was lit, bro. Did you see that? That was amazing.
I never played Sunshine, and I'm looking forward to playing it when I get my hands on the Super Mario 3D All-Stars collection. But one complaint I've heard about that game is how the Flood Pack basically gives you a get-out-of-jail-free card a lot of the time when you're doing platforming. That same issue kind of appears in Odyssey with the hat. If you fall off a cliff, well, just throw your hat and jump off it, and you have a pretty good chance of getting back on. It's not useful in every situation to get out of trouble, but a lot of the time, it pretty much does. And that's one of my main complaints about this game.
I could literally jump that gap, you know, Nintendo. I'm such a pro gamer, Nintendo. Your levels don't work on me.
While I kind of find the overabundance of moons to be overkill, I can understand why they would add so many moons in this game. I think this game's more of a collectathon along the lines of a game like Banjo-Kazooie than an actual platformer, which is completely fine if that's the direction the game wanted to take. But when it comes to the actual challenge or difficulty of the game, it turns out that this game is pretty dang easy. I could see how a younger audience might have a challenge with this game, especially if it is their first game. But for an experienced player like me who's played a lot of video games in my time, this game is pretty much a game to just play and turn your mind off. There's really no platforming sections that I can think of that really challenged me. When I think of Galaxy, a ton come to mind, but when I think of Odyssey, well, there really aren't many. Don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed Odyssey, and the attention to detail and overall art direction and design are incredible. and even the gameplay itself is incredibly smooth, even though it is easy. I enjoyed Odyssey a lot more on my second playthrough than I did on my first. I'm yet to go back through again and comb through everything and 100% it a second time. But outside of time and motivation, I don't think I'm gonna have much trouble doing so. I really like Odyssey and the direction it took, but I think the developers were a little bit nervous to take the mechanics and go all out with them. I think Odyssey is more of a testing ground for a potential Odyssey 2, and I think an Odyssey 2 could be really incredible if they go all out. But a lot of the time I feel like Mario Odyssey is not reaching the full potential that it could. However, it still is an incredibly solid game. I don't really like to give games number ratings, but if I had to, I'd give this game a solid 9 out of 10. Yeah. It's not my ideal Mario game, and it's definitely not my favorite. And it's probably not a lot of other people's favorite, but there are a lot of folks out there that really love it. For me, I'm glad I revisited Mario Odyssey. Every game I play adds to my overall knowledge and ability to critique games. Mario Odyssey is a hell of a good collectathon, an okay platformer, and an all-around beautiful, stunning, and incredible game. So guys, I was just scrolling on Google looking for like a fan-made logo for Super Mario Odyssey 2 to put in my video, and I have just stumbled upon the most disturbing thing I may ever have seen in my life. What the f***? What? What fantasy? 'Cause I don't get on.